Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has confirmed that both US President Donald Trump and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be attending the ASEAN and East Asia summits in Kuala Lumpur from the 26th to the 28th of October. This has fueled widespread speculation that both leaders, Trump and Modi, may also hold a bilateral meeting on the sidelines. If it happens, this will be the first meeting between Trump and Modi since February, the last meeting that happened at the White House. However, as of now, there is no official confirmation from either Washington or New Delhi about a possible face-to-face meeting.
ASEAN Summit अभी कुछ दूरी पे है, कुछ देर बाद है, तो आपको सही समय पर और उचित समय पर हम लोग आपको जानकारी देंगे किस प्रकार का हमारी भागीदारी होगी उस शिखर सम्मेलन में.
It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Modi.
If the meeting happens, it will be the first face-to-face interaction since the 14th of February and since the rupture in India-US trade relations following the Trump tariff escalation. The timing of the upcoming meeting is symbolically potent. The relationship between Delhi and Washington has been under deep strain, with only 2 phone calls between the two leaders in recent months. The first was on the 17th of June when the Prime Minister was in Kananaskis in Canada for the G7 meeting. That was a phone call in which Prime Minister Modi assertively denied any credit to President Trump for mediating in the Indo-Pak tensions when the war happened back in May. The other was a more lighter, almost a courtesy call, which happened in September, on the 16th of September, on the eve of Prime Minister Modi's birthday, when President Trump telephoned him to wish him a happy birthday. It is far from certain that Trump and Modi will even meet in Kuala Lumpur, even if the opportunity presents itself. And the reason for that is that several conditions must be satisfied, and there are significant obstacles that are still there which need to be overcome for a possible meeting between the two leaders. Both sides do have strong motivations to signal a rapprochement. For America, resolving the trade standoff with India is strategically valuable in the Indo-Pacific. It will also prevent India from tilting too far deeply towards China or Russia. The images of Modi, Xi Jinping and Putin at the Tianjin summit in early September, that went viral across American media. For India, reducing the punitive Trump tariffs and the burden that it's created on Indian exporters is crucial. There is domestic pressure, there is export losses that are piling up. So a bilateral meeting would offer the optics of a diplomatic reset. It would also provide cover for both sides to make some trade concessions.
The world recognizes that this is one area where we all have to work together. India is a big player in the energy field, as Pankaj just mentioned. We are big importers of energy from across the world, including from the US. We expect to increase our trade with the US on energy products in the years to come.
Indian and American trade representatives have held multiple rounds of talks, including 2 rounds in September alone, one in India when Brendan Lynch, the assistant US trade representative, came visiting, and then the Indian Commerce Minister went to Washington and held another round of meetings, all of which is aimed at resolving the Trump tariff issue. The fact that these discussions have continued, and at the end of those meetings, the statements put out by both India and by the United States seem to suggest that the talks were constructive. That means that both sides still see a path forward in being able to resolve this tariff issue. So a face-to-face meeting between Modi and Trump would help bridge the remaining gaps, it would lock in the compromises, it would also be a political victory for both sides. The Kuala Lumpur summit may also be one of the last multilateral occasions in the year 2025 where both leaders are present in the same room. So far, there is no confirmation if Trump will travel to India at all later this year for the Quad summit. India, of course, is the host of the Quad summit this year. There are also some reports which suggest that if a meeting were to happen between Modi and Trump in KL, the trade deal, or at least an interim trade deal, may have to be wrapped up before the ASEAN meetings begin, which is the 26th of October. So basically, the trade negotiators have roughly a month to wrap up their negotiations. A meeting without any progress could be embarrassing to both sides, and conversely, a successfully negotiated trade agreement will provide a compelling reset. Despite Malaysia's announcements and media speculation, neither side has formally committed. which means that both of them are cautiously positioning this. Both Delhi and Washington would prefer the flexibility until a trade alignment is certain and then a meeting can be agreed to. Modi operates in a democratic political environment where any major trade concessions to America would risk criticism, whether it's from the political opposition, whether it's from affected industry, farmers, and even protectionist political forces. Same with Trump. He faces pressure from his base and political opponents to deliver tough outcomes. He's not expected to indulge in soft diplomacy. And the trade impasse is not trivial. The United States has imposed a 25% reciprocal tariff on India and another further 25% punitive tariff for import of Russian oil, bringing Indian goods up to 50%, which is the highest tariff in the world, along with Brazil. So even if both sides are negotiating, there are still very high-stakes disagreements on energy and import policies, non-tariff barriers, and enforcement mechanisms.
If India stops buying our energy, damage will be inflicted upon them.
The punitive component of America's tariffs is explicitly linked to India's continued procurement of Russian oil. In effect, these are secondary sanctions which have not been imposed on any other country. Interestingly, China imports much more Russian oil than India does, and yet there are no punitive tariffs on China, it's only there on India. And that complicates India's freedom of movement, particularly given its energy security concerns and its desire to maintain strategic autonomy. In short, disentangling the trade issues from geopolitics is a tall order. But it's not just the trade and tariff impediments. In recent days, America has taken some decisive steps which are all viewed as detrimental to India. The sanctions relief to the Chabahar port, which India has helped build and is operating in Iran, that sanctions relief has been taken away, which basically targets India's connectivity projects to Central Asia. Also, President Trump recently imposed 100,000 visa fees on any new H-1B visas, a bulk of which are used by Indian techies. All in all, now is not a good time in Indo-US ties, and the strategic partnership of the last 25 years between Delhi and Washington, which has withstood 4 different American administrations, today faces its biggest test yet.